Hello and welcome to Sunday's sermon on Hughes of the World. I'm Graham Hughes. How you all doing this morning? How you doing? We've got lots of missionary in the chat. We've got Martin Harrow. We've got Sarah Davis. We've got Ryan Billy as well. Got Simon Smith in there. I can see L saying hello. We've also got DTK 317. We've got Mystique Tina Jones in there. Hello everyone. How you all doing? Daz is in there as well. It's nice to see Daz. Band of Hardjaps as well. And Person Impersonator. Oh, I have loads of people here this morning. This is fantastic. Okay, so if you'd like to join our friendly friends in the friendly chat, just hit the friendly subscribe button and wait for approximately 1 minute. Today we're going to be talking about Nigel Farage. And I've got a lot to get through. I've got a lot to get through. So it looks like he might be circling the drain. Finally. I mean, after absolute years. Just one second. Where did I put my coffee? Oh dear. I haven't got my coffee. Coffee go. Just one sec. Hey, okay. Okay. I just had it. Literally just had it. Anyway, I'm a bit discombobulated. Got people over this weekend. So I've been sleeping on the couch there. So it's like, put the bed settee away. But yeah, there is no fight. Prof. He has threatened to sue the Sunday Times and Chickens. He didn't even threaten the Guardian's reporting he's fit, like all his previous political grifts from UKIP onwards. Indeed. Well, that's what we're going to be talking about this morning, I fear. But yeah, this could be this. I mean, you know, fingers crossed. Obviously, there's a long way to go, but this could be the end of Farage. It would be absolutely wonderful if it is. So Farage was born in 1964 and attended the fee-paying Dulwich College. A teacher there objected to his appointment as a prefect in 1981 because of reporters' concerns about racist and fascistic behaviour. That was in 1981, okay? That was a teacher in 1981 objecting to him becoming a prefect because he was a racist back then. Since then, we've had stories coming out from kids grown-up kids now, that he went to school with who accused him of saying the most horrifically racist things. And instead of doing what a normal person would do, normal person like you or I would do, we would apologise, would say, shit, sorry, yeah, that really fucked up there, that was really bad. But because he goes to the Donald Trump school of never admit you're wrong, never admit... And we all know someone like this in our lives, don't we? Someone who, it's never their fault. It's never their fault. It's always someone else's fault. Aren't they the most infuriating people that you know? Oh, yes, they are. You know they are. You know they are. You might only keep them in your life because you're related to them or because they're in your circle of friends or whatever. But yeah, it can be incredibly frustrating when someone that you know will just not take responsibility for anything that they do. 34 former pupils and staff, 34 pupils and staff from Dulwich College have asked Farage to, they've alleged racist or anti-Semitic conduct. 26 of them have jointly asked him to apologise, which he hasn't. His responses progressed from an inability to remember, to references to schoolboy banter, to describing the accounts as politically motivated fantasies, and then he'll just go and shout Bernard Manning a few times and think that gets him away with it. He left school to become a commodities trader in the City of London, and he helped found UKIP in 1993 after being a Tory, a Green. He was a Green originally in the 80s. He was a Green, then he was a Tory, then he founded UKIP and became its leader in 2006. The senior network surrounding him includes George Cottrell of Malvern College, Christopher Harborne of Westminster School, and Richard Tice of Uppingham School. These aren't just private schools, these are public schools. These are the higher echelons of private schools, which we call public schools, which I know is confusing, but that's what we call them for some stupid reason, because it wasn't a church school. There was church schools and there were public schools. Right, so before we go on though, and as I was saying hello to everyone, I will ask very, very nicely if people would like to chip in to keep this channel going, because otherwise I might have to jack it in and get a proper job. I mean, that might not be the worst thing in the world, but yeah, if you don't want me to be waiting people in Costa with coffee, maybe you could get me a coffee. I don't know, but if you get five super chats this morning, then we will unleash the confetti. And you'll get to decide which flavour of confetti you want to unleash. So then, Farage served as an MEP from 19 1999 till January 2020. In 2009, he said he received almost £2 million in expenses and allowances during his first decade, excluding his salary. Expenses and allowances. He employed his wife, Kirsten, as a parliamentary assistant on a salary of up to £20,000 a year. Annabel Fuller worked as a close aide, and former UKIP colleagues and press reports describe her as a former lover. So he was employing his wife and his mistress at the same time. In 2014, the Electoral Commission fined him £200 for failing to declare donated office space. In 2018, the European Parliament docked half his salary to recover €40,000 paid to an assistant whose qualifying parliamentary work could not be demonstrated. Financial records later showed that approximately 1.8 million euros, 1.8 million euros of European Parliament group funds had helped pay for anti-EU rallies and referendum campaigning. So he took money from the EU, which was paid for out of our taxes, by the way, and he used that to attack the EU. Now, we hear that and go, what a gobshite, but other people hear that and go, yeah, stick one to the EU. But it's our money. It's not the EU's money. It's our money. We paid into the EU. And then there's a subject that I talk about quite a lot, the plane crash he had. On the 6th of May, 2020, pilot Justin Adams flew Farage on a light aircraft towing a UKIP election banner. The banner became entangled with the tail fin of the aircraft, causing it to crash shortly after takeoff. Both men suffered serious injuries. Adams later developed serious mental health problems and threatened Farage and an air accident investigator. A court describes the threat as a cry for help and imposed a community order rather than imprisonment. Adams, the pilot who saved Farage's life, was found dead in his home in December 2013, aged 48. And the available public records contain no evidence of any personal or financial support from Nigel Farage, one of the richest people in this country, and therefore one of the richest people in the world, following the crash. You see that Adams couldn't fly during the investigation phase, so that was his job. He couldn't do his job, and he lost financial security. He lost his financial security. He lost, and they probably had PTSD. Did Farage offer to pay to help this guy out? We don't know, but there's no evidence that he did. And don't forget, this went to court in the end because of vets. Cat, I didn't bring my coffee. I don't know where I left it. I thought that was it over there, but that was mine. Can I sort that out? No, you don't have to. Or you could just, Kat, if we just get some water, because otherwise I'll get really dry. Sorry, I'm just having a chat with my beautiful other half, but she's out for a run. So she's like, what? News: Jeremy Hunt is going to stand in the next general election. Says Richard. I don't know if that deserved capital letters, Richard, for the news, but yeah, Jeremy Hunt, remember him? Does he still do things? Is he still an MP? I don't know. I've not heard much from him in the recent years since the Tories terrible situation in 2024. So yes, then the next thing I want to focus on is the referendum campaign. So Farage was the principal political figure of the public figure of UKIP, right? And Leave.eu, which was separate to Vote Leave. So there was the official campaign, Vote Leave, and then there was Leave.eu. There was also Believe, and then there was also some other little offshoots of people going out and telling people that they should vote to impose economic sanctions on ourselves, to rip families apart and make sure that everyone's really, really unhappy for the following decade, which they did. They were successful at making sure that everyone is unhappy. And this is something that I want to circle back around to, because for over 20 years now, Farage has been the reason that most people in this country are unhappy. Because not only are we financially worse off, but also we've lost a lot of friends. And Farage is behind that. If it hadn't been for Farage, we'll probably still be getting along all right with people with different political backgrounds. But now that half the country feels like they've had their livelihoods stolen from them, they've had their family ripped apart, it's a bit hard to forgive. It's a bit hard to forgive and forget. Do you know what I mean? And Farage did that. Nigel Farage. Nigel Justin Farage, or whatever his fucking middle name is. Absolute gobshite. Just did that. Destroyed this country in terms of the relations we have on each other, with each other. Gareth, thank you very much to Gareth T there for the £5 super chat. First super chat of the Sunday morning. Morning, Graham. Farage is a crook and charlatan, yet he claims he is of the people. Yes, a millionaire, reckons he knows what it's like to struggle. Well, you know, he had to make some phone calls to his friends once and say, can I have some money? That's a real, that's real. That's being at the coalface, really, if you think about it. That's like equivalent of going down in one of those little tiny elevators that they used to have, the little lifts down the mine shafts. You remember? With the, you know, they come down and then they open up, and these men in kind of clean clothes would step out, and all the dirty men who just finished their shift would step in and go up, and then occasionally things would blow up or fill with water and you'll drown, or you just fucking die breathing in toxic gas because the canary in the coal mine didn't die first. And, you know, there was a million ways to die in a coal mine, but that's the equivalent, really, if you think about it, to making a phone call and saying to your mate, can I have some money, please? You know. So, Nigel Farage's campaign concentrates on immigration, refugees, border control, and the prospect of Turkey joining the EU. Should we go through that? Immigration exploded after we left the EU. Refugees, we had to deal with the European Union so that we could send back refugees to countries in the European Union if they'd already asked for asylum there. So we could send them back straight away. No court proceedings, no checking up, putting them into a hotel for 2 years, none of that. Border control. We had better border control when we were part of the EU because we knew who was coming in and out the country, because you still had border control. You still had to show your passport when you came and left the country. You couldn't just turn up and say, hey, I'm Joe Smith. And they went, okay, cool, Joe, in you go. Get on this boat, get in this train. Oh, yeah, get in this plane. And off you fly off to Europe. It didn't happen. You had to take your passport. You had to take your passport when you travelled around Europe. I know this because I travelled to every country in Europe in 2017. And I also did it in 2009. And in both times, I had to use my passport to get into the continent of Europe, into the Schengen area. We were not part of the Schengen area, and therefore we still had passport control. We still had border control. And this idea that we could have anyone could come over from Poland, or anyone could come over from Romania, oh, thank you. Oh, I got water in my special Super Mario cup and coffee. Thank you. Did you put some flavouring in there? Did that flavouring in? Yes. Yeah. Does that marshmallow? Is that marshmallow?
No, that's a terrible guess.
Oh, is it hazelnut?
Yes.
Oh, thank you. It's got the special hazelnut flavouring.
Like.
Tastes the same to me. Thank you. Oh, cool. So I got me special Super Mario mug. Oh, look at that. It's nice to have some, support. my glamorous assistant. She's off for a run. She's crazy. She just did the 10K the other day. Catherine, my partner. Anyway, Gareth T has been a member for 23 months. Wow, you're the best. Thank you for being a member for 23 months. This is for Gareth T there. You are the best. His middle name is Paul, by the way. Is it? I thought it was Twat. Nigel Twat Farage. Anyway, so yeah, the border control, that's gone tits up, hasn't it? And the prospect of Turkey joining the EU, which it hasn't joined. So everything he said was a lie, because everything that comes out of his disgusting clanging manhole of a fucking face is a lie. On the 6th of June 2016, he unveiled the Breaking Point poster using a photograph of refugees traveling between Croatia and Slovenia, and he cropped out all the white faces. Bit racist. The image did not show people entering Britain. A text box obscured the only prominently white person in the original photograph. And MP Joe Cox was murdered later that day. Oh, by the way, they said that they would then say that they then claimed to have suspended campaigning with respect to Joe Cox, but actually didn't. Now that's one of the most monstrous things this generation of politicians did. They kept on going with the manifesto, with the referendum. That should have been the end of it. An MP being shot to death. Oh, and by the way, after that happened, the gobshite Farage said he described Brexit as being achieved without a single bullet being fired. That's what he said. Even though there was a bullet fired at a mother of two, young mother of two, shot dead. He then resigned. 11 days after the vote, he resigned as UKIP leader. He did a David Cameron. He went, I can't be asked with this anymore. Because he didn't know what to do. They caught the car. They were the dog that caught the car. Go Cat, you're awesome. You're awesome too. You've been a member for 32 months. Well, actually, we are the bestest in the world. So thank you very much, Sarah, for being a member for 32 months and sticking with us. Very, very cool. Thank you. I think most of the revealing is, despite arguing for Brexit for years, and UKIP never had a detailed plan of what actually leaving would look like, he was on a jolly. Yeah, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely 100% right. Just disgraceful. Anyway, so yes, let's talk about Arron Banks and leave.eu. So Arron Banks finance leave.eu and associated organisations with approximately £8 million of money that came from somewhere, and we do not know where it came from. The Electoral Commission found reasonable grounds to suspect offences concerning the true source of the money and referred the case to the National Crime Agency. No crime agency, the No Crime Anywhere agency. The NCA closed its investigation after finding insufficient evidence of criminality and accepting that the funds came from companies owned by banks. Leave.eu was separately found to exceed its referendum spending limit. And don't forget, whichever side spends the most on advertising in a referendum wins 99% of the time. You can game a referendum, as I don't like referendums. Actually, you can game the system. In any democracy, you can game the system. If you've got enough money, you can say, do what I say, or I'll fund your opposition. I'll fund your opponents. Do as I say, or I will fund your opponents. That is the line that every billionaire has trotted out whispered in the ears of every politician since the dawn of time, I think. This is why we need to stop MPs and we need to stop parties getting these massive donations from gobshites who want the worst for us, people who don't even live in this country. They don't have to put up with any of the stuff that we have to put up with. They wouldn't anyway, because they're rich, so they live in a rarefied bubble. But the rest of us, we had to put up with this stuff. We got Rupert Murdoch living over in America, an Australian living in America, who has more control over our political system than you or I. Does that not make people go, what? Lord Rothermere lives down in France, doesn't he, or Monaco or somewhere? He owns the Daily Mail. He just does what he likes, doesn't he? And the Leave.eu ultimately paid £66,000 in penalties, but the referendum still went ahead. Banks brought defamation proceedings against Karol Kodwala, investigating his Russian contacts, and threatened legal action against the Electoral Commission. The Commission later removed web pages explaining its warning that the existing rules could permit overseas money to enter British politics through offshore structures. Funny that. The substantiated issue is the financing of the campaign that Farage fronted. There is no finding that's been made that Farage personally received or failed to declare the entire 8 million, but anyway, and then he moved his campaign away from Brexiting to a campaign for no deal. Now, Brexit has obviously cost us, as we know, at least £200 billion a year, right, for the last 5 years. So that's $1 trillion. It's cost us £1 trillion a year. $1 trillion is an insane number. If you said the word million, and kept going for 11 and a half days and didn't eat, sleep, drink, nothing, didn't stop, didn't pause for breath, just said the word million for 11 and a half days solidly, that would be $1 trillion. It's $1 million. And that's how much Brexit has cost. But these motherfuckers, because they wanted to destroy this country because they're being paid by the Russians, possibly. People are saying, allegedly, that they're being paid by the Russians to destroy this country from within. They said, no, we don't want a deal with the EU, with our closest trading partner. We don't want a deal with some of the richest countries in the world, the richest and most prosperous and most democratic and most beautiful countries in the world. We want to be free to do what we want to do. We want to have a good time. We want to have a party. So, in order to facilitate the increase in our trade with Malawi and East Timor, we decided that it'd be in our best interest Farage decided it'd be in our best interest to have a no deal. Now, I went to the WTO in Geneva and sat down with them, and they said, no deal, we'll destroy your country. That is it. End of. Leaving the EU is going to be bad enough. If you leave with no deal, you're fucked. You're absolutely fucked, and you have no idea how fucked you are. I'm hardly paraphrasing. Anyway, but the government did an investigation into what would happen if we did a no deal. It was called Operation Yellowhammer. Does anyone remember that? Does anyone remember that? It anticipated severe disruption at channel crossings, delays to medicines, reduced ability for some fresh foods, pressure on fuel supplies, higher costs for business and consumers. It talked about not being able to get radioactive material to health centres and hospitals around the country, and therefore people getting treated for things like cancer treatment, radiotherapy, people going in for X-rays and stuff like that. They wouldn't be able to get the radioactive material that they needed. But Farage, he continued advocating for no deal, despite the risk identified by the Tory government responsible for preparing for it. He wanted to leave the EU without a trade or transition agreement. No deal. Let's go WTO. So I went, okay, well, let's go to the WTO. I sat down with representatives of the WTO, and they said, this is the maddest thing that any human has ever thought of in their fucking stupid little lives. Why would anyone want this? It makes no sense. At the time, I think still now, there's only 38 countries that have identified as having advanced economies that are members of the United Nations. 38 United Nation members, 38 that are counted as having advanced economies, right? Not developing, not intermediate, but advanced. The kind of economies that we can sell shit to. 38. Guess how many of them are in Europe? 30. 30 of the 38. So we were sacrificing our really good trade deal with the 30 of those 38 countries, because it includes the EEA and everything, right? We're going to throw that away, and we were going to replace it with trade with those 8 countries, some of which were on the literal other side of the world. At least one of which only had a population of 4.7 million people, and that is New Zealand. Good luck trading at scale with them. Bit cheaper to probably get a car from, I don't know, Japan or China, considering it's literally thousands of miles closer. Anyway, yeah. If no deal had gone ahead, like Britain can recover from Brexit. It's a long and winding road, but we can recover from Brexit. But a no deal Brexit, I don't think Britain would have ever recovered from that. And that's what Farage wanted. And he launched the Brexit Party. After laying low for a few years, he launched the Brexit Party in 2019. He won at that year's European election. Its website accepted payments below 500 quid without the donor permissibility checks required for larger political donations. The Electoral Commission concluded that the system creates a high and continued risk of accepting impermissible money, because people could just keep giving money under different names, whatever. The party was ordered to review £2.5 million in payments, including amounts below the legal reporting threshold of 500 quid. And then it turns out that there was some money that went back and forth between George Cottrell's mum, and Christopher Harborne, and Nigel Farage and the party, and also Christopher Harborne and Boris Johnson at the time. And then, would you believe it, Farage withdrew candidates from all 317 constituencies that had been won by the Conservatives in 2017, 2 years earlier, in the general election. The decision reduced the danger of splitting the Leave vote and gave Boris Johnson a clear run at getting an 80-seat majority, which he did. As predicted by Best for Britain, who spent millions on polling over the summer of 2019, and to discover that if there was a general election tomorrow, then the Tories would win with an 80-seat majority. And do you know what? There was an election, and they won with an 80-seat majority. But it's all right. We don't need facts where we're going. The Bieber asked to find economists to argue in favour of Brexit for a programme, but it took them an hour to find one. Yeah, what's her name off the news agents? Emily Maitlis She doesn't have any mates, which is sad, but there you go. She was the one who pointed this out. It would take them like all day to find one economist who thought Brexit was a good idea. And there was criticisms of the BBC because they showed a thing about 10 years since Brexit, and it said that all the people on there were anti-Brexit. And it's like, no, it wasn't. They interviewed Boris Johnson and stuff. Fuck off. But they didn't interview enough economists who said it was a bad idea and who said it was a good idea. I'm like, yeah, because it's really hard to find them. It's really, really hard to find them. Have you ever noticed, Asters, when Farage is on the verge of real responsibility, he either does a Lord Lucan or things suddenly go tits up? Yeah. I have. There's someone else that I can think of who's a bit like that. Acro Dave, in that hour, the Beeb found dozens of economists who thought it was insane, but the Beeb presented both of having views of equal weight. Yeah. False equivalence. It's one of the fucking really frustrating things about the BBC. It makes it very difficult to support this insane organization sometimes. Well, the news side of it. Could you say, well, they make great natural history shows, and I like Amanda Land, and it's like, yeah, but, yeah, but, no, but. Look at the news output. Look at Question Time with what's her name? Fiona Davis, is it? Who presents? Is that her name? Who presents Question Time? Is it? Have I just made that up? Fiona, what's her name? Fiona Bruce, that's her name. Where did I get Davis from? Fiona Bruce, British journalist, privately educated, of course, privately educated. She attended the International School of Milan. That's all right, isn't it? And then she went to Haberdashers Asks Hatcham College. You can't even say that without being incredibly posh. Haberdashers Asks Hasham College. Although that is a state secondary school now, even though it's got a very posh name, but it's a state school. Anyway, but Fiona Bruce, who does this with a eyebrow all the time, and she did the thing where she said about what's his name, the dad of Boris Johnson, Stanley Johnson, said he only beat his wife up so badly that she had to be rushed to hospital once. Just on the balance, balance. Gotta have the balance. Fuck the balance. Fuck him. Why do we have to be balanced about serial killers? No. Oh, he was really nice. He used to talk to his plants. I don't give a fuck. He was a serial killer. Anyway, let's talk about George Cottrell for a moment. George Cottrell became a UKIP fundraiser and one of Farage's closest aides during the referendum campaign. US federal agents arrested him in Chicago O'Hare Airport in July 2016 on the way back with Farage from a Trump event. He was originally charged with 21 offences and later pleaded guilty to one count of wire fraud, although he did try and not just launder money. He was offering to launder money on the dark web, and he offered to launder money for two people that he thought were drug dealers, but they turned out to be coppers. And then he tried to, he wanted to blackmail. He wanted to blackmail them as well, make even more money. He admitted a scheme advertising money laundering services on a dark web marketplace, and he served 8 months in prison. After his release, he immediately returned to Farage's political circle. Before the 2024 election, he reportedly paid for staff, private security, accommodation, transport, and social media work used by Farage. Police are now investigating £500,000 in refuck donations attributed to his mother, Fiona, who used to go out with King Sausage Fingers, who is now our king. And then she got done. Was it? Did she go out with Sausage Fingers, or did she go out with one of his brothers? I don't know. It might have been Edward. I don't know. It might be Charles. But she was romantically attached to Charles, and then she did a spread for Playboy. So they said, oh, you can't do that. You can't get your baps out when you're banging the Sausage Finger King. But you may or may not want to be your tampon. What a time to be alive, hey? After this money, this $500,000 has been being investigated now, attributed to Cottrell's mother Fiona, but it was moved through an Australian payments company. And George and Fiona Cottrell have reportedly been interviewed under caution, but neither have been charged. because, you know, they're rich and rich people get away with shit. You can't get away with not paying your TV license. You can't get away with not fucking paying your, you know, not being able to make pay your council tax when you pay more council tax than Buckingham fucking Palace. It won't be tied to you if you miss a payment. A lady who likes sausage fingers. Well, you know, there are benefits to be had there. Christopher Harborne. Let's talk about him. He's a British Thai billionaire with major aviation, defense, and cryptocurrency interests. So basically, war and cryptocurrency. They're his two main interests. You know, this is a guy who's a merchant of death. So merchant of death, Christopher Harborne, privately educated, of course. He had an early stake in Tether, which is a stable coin, or it's tethered to the dollar, to whatever it is. It's a stable coin. It doesn't float freely in its own value. It's a way of getting money out of your crazy crypto coin that flies up and down all the time and goes up in terms of worth, and making it so you can convert it into something that doesn't go crazy all the time. He has donated, he had donated £13.7 million to the Brexit Party and Reform during 2019 and 2020. In March 2024, Farage reportedly told senior Reform figures that returning to frontline politics would require compensation of approximately £1 million a year. And then a month later, less than a month actually, on the 5th of April, so he said that in March, April the 5th, Harborne transfers him £5 million. And what happens? What is a year? Compensation. A return to frontline politics will require compensation of approximately £1 million a year. How many years are you elected for as an MP if you don't, you know, face a by-election in the meantime? Oh, it's 5 years, isn't it? Funny that, isn't it? There isn't an early general election. Farage took control of the company behind Reform in May and announced his candidacy for Clacton on the 3rd of June. Although he always had a controlling stake in Reform, but he took a more active role in it, I should say. He did not include the payment in his initial parliamentary declaration, which is supposed to, have a look at any money that you've made in the last year before you become an MP, in case someone gave you $5 million to become an MP and further their cryptocurrency interests. His explanations have veered from needing it for personal security, even though he was offered the same security as Kemi Badenoch, who is a black woman who's in charge of the Tory party. Arguably a bigger party, arguably a bigger target. But, he didn't want that. That wasn't good enough for him. He also then veered off to say it was for recognition for his Brexit campaigning. And then he said it was an unconditional personal gift. But it's funny because he later met the governor of the Bank of England, Andrew Bailey. And he argued for changes to stablecoin policy relevant to Harborne's political interests. As I keep saying, £5 million pro quo. So, there's no established finding that Harborne personally launders Russian money. So I couldn't possibly say that, but Tether has been found to have been used by Russian operatives, including people in Putin's inner circle, who last night unleashed hell on Ukraine, killing people in Ukraine. Biggest missile attack so far, I think, last night. Yeah. And to get the money to do that, they had to buy and sell things without it going through the usual means of buying and selling things, because that's all closed up because of all the sanctions that have been placed on Russia by lots of countries around the world. So in order to get money get money out, get goods out, get money in, whatever, they rely on cryptocurrency. And a lot of them use Tether to launder their money, the dirty blood money that they use to pay North Africans and North Koreans to come over to Europe and murder white people in Europe. I don't know why the racists like this so much, but they do. They're like, yeah, cool, yeah, I'm happy with that. Yeah, just murder us, that's fine. I'm quite happy for people from North Korea or North Africa to come to Europe. Just don't give them a gun and tell them to kill us. Don't give them money to kill us. Don't say, we're going to pay you 80 grand a year to kill these people who live here in Europe. Thank you very much. Just putting out there that there is no established finding that Harborne personally launders Russian money. You make of that what you will. Nathan Gill. Let's talk about Nathan Gill. We do have a lot of evidence about this cunt. I mean person. Cunt. Nathan Gill served as a UKIP MEP. He led the UKIP in Wales and later headed Reform UK in Wales. Between 2018 and 2019, he accepted approximately £40,000 from people connected to pro-Russian interests. You know, like Christopher Harborne. So this was a fraction of the amount of money that Nigel Farage got. You know, this is a hundredth of the money that Nigel Farage, less than 100th of the money that Farage got. He pleaded guilty to 8 bribery offences, and in November 2025 he was sentenced to 10 years and 6 months in jail. The conviction establishes that a senior figure in Farage's political organisation took foreign-linked bribes, but it does not prove that Nigel Farage knew about the payments. I can't say out loud that Nigel Farage definitely knew about those payments. I can't say that Nigel Farage definitely knew about it, because I can't say that. And I can't say that Nigel Farage stood up well, no, what I can say is Nigel Farage stood up in the European Parliament and made statements about Russia and Europe's relationship with Russia, which were incredibly similar as well, but similar to those made by Nathan Gill, currently serving 10.5 years in jail, or jails in years, for being a fucking traitor. Can't say that. Can't say. Well, we can say that they're very similar. Can't say that Nigel Farage got money off the Russians to say things in the European Parliament. I can't say that Nigel Farage got money off the Russians to push for Brexit. But you can, I guess, privately. People are saying it. I'm not saying it because it's not. It may not be true. I don't know. Allegedly. Funny though, isn't it? Then we've got the failure of scrutiny. Cottrell's conviction, his continued relationship with Farage, and the questions about Brexit funding were known within Westminster for years. For 10 years, we're known about this relationship between George Cottrell, Posh George, the wiper of Nigel Farage's arse, and the arse that is Nigel Farage. Much of the Brexit supporting press treated those matters as old news, or regarded the investigation of the money as an attempt to reverse the referendum. Legal action by Banks interrupted investigative journalism, investigative reporting by Carol Cadwallader, and it discouraged other publications from publishing the same material. Pressure was not only applied to journalists, but to the Electoral Commission and other officials examining Brexit-related activity. No one ever looked. No one ever got to look, because if anyone got anywhere near the open reactor core that was spitting out toxic radiation in all directions, it's damaging, ionizing radiation in all directions. They got burnt. They got burnt, possibly by the radiation. I don't know. But yeah, the current investigations involve the same donors, the same intermediaries, the same offshore structures, the same weaknesses in electoral law identified during the referendum period 10 years ago. The principal change is that the Times and other influential right-wing newspapers are now pursuing those stories that they previously overlooked. Now, here's the interesting thing, right? This is why Farage is losing his fucking mind. It's not to do with his daughter. He doesn't give a shit about it. He probably doesn't even know who his daughter is. He probably doesn't recognise her. Probably doesn't know what her name is. He's that type of person. Do you know what I mean? You can't really imagine him being a loving father, considering he had 2 families, had 2 divorces, and he was employing his mistress and his wife at the same time when he was working in the European Parliament. He doesn't seem like a family man to me. He seems like someone who sits in a gentleman's club in Soho in London, smoking big fuck off fat cigars and braying, laughing about how stupid people are who vote for him. Which I wouldn't say. I don't think people who vote for Nigel Farage are stupid. I just think they've been misled and they've spent millions and millions and millions and millions and millions of pounds. Not they have. Sorry, rich people have spent millions of pounds over the course of the last 40, 50 years, misleading these people into believing all kinds of nonsense, because they know that people leave school, they don't learn anything after they left school. Suddenly the internet became a threat because it was like, oh, well, people might find things out. People might discover stuff. People might, find out things. Oh, shit, what should we do? Well, I know, let's flood the internet with bullshit so no one knows what to believe. Yay! But this is a safe space, I hope, for facts. And if I fuck up, you can always fact check me in the chat. It would help if you gave a super chat while you fact check me, because then I would actually read it out loud. In fact, even if you want to insult me, the best way to do it is by giving a super chat to insult me. And if anyone does that, by the way, just want a little word to the mods out there. Hey, mods, like One Angry Pagan and Diz. If anyone decides that they want to have a pop at me, but they keep giving money, just let them do it. Just let them give me all the money. I don't care. I need the money. I really need the money. So yeah, that'd be great. Otherwise, I am going to have to get a job doing something else, because it's YouTube's not the most sustainable income thing that you can do in life at the best of times. But recent months, it's since the start of the year, really. Well, since the end of January. Well, there you go. Anyway, so yes, I do find it interesting that Farage is losing his fucking mind right now, and it's because the Times has turned on him. Oh, how the times change. Times, they are a-changing. Looks like Rupert Murdoch has turned on Farage. So the Parliamentary Commissioner for Standards opened 2 inquiries into the financial matters described above, which include George Cottrell and also that gobshite Christopher Harborne. Farage resigns as MP earlier this month, suspending the Commission's jurisdiction while he is outside Parliament. He's seeking re-election in the resulting by-election on the 13th of August. The inquiries can resume if he returns to the Commons. The police investigation continues independently of his parliamentary status. Farage has called the scrutiny a coordinated pile-on and said he has been dehumanised and declared that he's never been angrier. God bless. He's reportedly had a furious confrontation with the Times editor Tony Gallagher over proposed coverage of his property holdings, which I mentioned the other day. Farage has not been arrested or charged in connection with the present funding investigations, but possible parliamentary outcomes include a correction, an apology, a suspension of at least 10 sitting days, could initiate a recall process, which it probably will happen. If he gets re-elected, there'll be another by-election in Clacton before the end of the year. Imprisonment would require a separate criminal charge and conviction, which I'm also up for. And let's look at the political national consequences of this man. The referendum divided the electorate 51.9% to 48.1%. The argument developed into a lasting political identity divided by age, education, geography, mental health, attitudes towards immigration, national identity, sexuality, everything that has been shit in the last 10 years has its roots in Brexit, because the biggest shittest thing that Nigel Farage did wasn't just ruining us economically, which it's a boiling frog thing, isn't it? We don't really notice the fact that I had I got a can of non-alcoholic lager, the other day in Newcastle, a can of non-alcoholic lager, and it was £6.50. £6.50. And there's me writing my blog in 2010 complaining that the £1 bottles of Stella that you used to be able to get in the Jacaranda in Liverpool had become Carlsberg. We were getting Carlsberg now, Carlsberg bottles for £1. Grr. And I was like, but Stella was more alcoholic. Oh, glory days. £1 a bottle. Now it's £6.50 a can. It doesn't even have any alcohol in it. Bastards. Let's mention Confetti for Diz. Yay, Saz. Thank you very much for the super chat. Second super chat of the morning. Woo! I'm with my niece on play duties with her 6-year-old. 2 hours of Pop-Up Pirate and more to come. Yippee! Oh, Pop-Up Pirate's the best. Where was the England team that beat France when we played Argentina, says Michael Reddin. On the bench, mate. Saka didn't play, did he? Did anyone watch the match last night? Sorry to just go off on a bit of a tangent here. Did anyone watch the match last night? It was fucking amazing. Even if you don't like football, it was amazing. There were 10 goals scored. If you want to complain about football being boring, it was not boring. It was the absolute opposite of that. We scored within 3 minutes of the start of the game. By half-time, we were 4-0 up. And then France scored. By the end of it, the score was 6-4. 6-4 to England. The most goals ever scored in a World Cup match, I think. 10 goals. And just absolutely remarkable. Great stuff. And then a final shot, they think it's all over, it is now, from Jude Bellingham, which was just one of the goals of the tournament. He took it all the way from the halfway line, dribbled it through all the defenders, and just shot it in the goal. It was amazing. It was so good. And no yellow cards. Not a single yellow card. There was no fouls. The game wasn't stopping every 30 seconds for players to fall over and pretend that they've had their arm blown off it by a hand grenade or something. Do you know what I mean? It was just like it's okay. We'll keep playing. It was end-to-end stuff. It was really fun. And you know what? I think pressure was off. Maybe the pressure was off. But where was that team? Where was that team on Wednesday when we were playing Argentina? Who can fuck the fuck off, by the way. I'm really having a problem with Argentina because the Falklands thing, I know that it's a thing, and I know that they go on about it. I know when you travel around Argentina, because I've traveled around Argentina a couple of times in my life. I've been to Mendoza, I've been to Cordoba, I've been to Residencia, I've been to San Salvador, the Hoi Hoi, I've been to the Foz de Iguazu, I've been to, all over the place. I've been all over the place in Argentina. I've been to Buenos Aires, I've had nights out in Buenos Aires, had a really good time there. But the number of things saying Malvina says son Argentinian and whatever the phrase is, it's everywhere. It's everywhere. And it's got to the point now where they put it out at a football match, they can fuck off. That's it. Done with it. So I really hope Spain do really well now against their former failed colony of Argentina. In 1895, the richest country in the world per capita. In 1895, Argentina, richest country in the world per capita. And now it's one of the poorest. Number 100 on the list. There's 99 countries that have got a better GDP per capita than Argentina. Anyway, I don't know why why the people of the Falkland Islands, which was named the Falkland Islands in 1890s. Sorry, 1690s, before Argentina was called Argentina. Argentina wouldn't be called Argentina for another 100 odd years afterwards, 120, 130 years afterwards. Anyway, I digress, because we've got some super chats in, which is wonderful. Tony, thank you very much for the £10 super chat. Don't give up, lad. Oh, thank you very much, Tony. That's very kind of you. It's very kind of you. Independent Media, Kitty, and of course, Diz Confetti. Thank you very much, Pretty Kate Machine, for the £2 super chat. That's very kind. And Ryan Burke agreeing with me. And I agree with you, Ryan. Fantastic game last night. And this is for the lads last night in the footy. And this is for Ryan and Pretty Kate Machine. And it's for Tony and for Saz. And for who else has dropped a super chat in this morning? And Gareth T, obviously. Thank you very much, everybody. And I'm going to now press the magic button to say 3, 2, 1. Confetti! Yay! Confetti! Woo! Yes. Anyway, let's get on with talking about Farage. Nearly finished. Nearly got to the end of this bullshit. So yes, referendum 52-48 divided the country. Divided neighbours, divided people who known each other for years, old school friends, divided families, divided people that still don't speak to their parents that still don't speak to their children now because of Brexit, because of what Farage did. Farage did that. All the problems that we face today as a country, the money that we don't have to spend on things like mental health or the hospitals or the potholes or the schools or the railways or whatever, it all stems from Brexit. It all stems from Nigel Farage. That man has done more damage to this country than Hitler. I'll say that again. Nigel Farage has done more damage to this country than Adolf fucking Hitler. He just has. He just fucking has. He is a horrible, horrible man. But he's done all right out of it, hasn't he? He's done all right out of it. His kids have done all right out of it. They got a free house paid for by some toxic fucking billionaire over in Thailand. He makes guns and launders money for the Russians, perhaps, for a living, allegedly, maybe. Farage repeatedly presented Leave supporters as the real people, the ordinary people, the decent people, excluding opponents from his definition of the legitimate public. People like me. We were illegitimate. We were, little bastards. We were little bastards of the political realm. He accused me of being the elite. The metropolitan, those are metropolitan elites. Oh, these metropolitan elites. Oh, Charles, Giles, sit round a bit. Let's have a chat about the metropolitan elites now in this gentleman's club in the middle of a city, in the middle of one of the richest cities in the world. My parking spot costs more than some people's mortgages. No, don't worry about it. I'm going to get in my private jet in a moment and go skiing in the middle of summer in Dubai. Hate them. I absolutely fucking hate them. Some people we could do without, especially in politics. But Nigel Farage, number one. Nigel Farage, we get him out of politics. Boom, that's it. See you later. And that's why I'm a bit pissed off with all these stupid fucking candidates who are standing in the Clacton by-election. Just leave it to Binface. Just Binface versus Nigel Farage. There's your fucking story. Don't dilute it. Don't steal some votes off Binface. You know, there's two candidates standing for the Monster Raven Looney Party. Fuck off. I'm really pissed off about rejoin EU. Fucking putting someone in there. Fucking idiots. How do we rejoin the EU when Nigel Farage is still around? Fucking idiots. First of all, we had to get rid of Farage out of political life, and then we might be able to rejoin the EU. But until he's there, while he's still there, we're not going to rejoin the EU anytime soon. Why are we not going to rejoin the EU, Graham? I hear you say. Because they're going to look at us and go, well, hang on, in 5 years' time, Farage might get in and he'll take it straight back out again. We're not going to play the hokey-cokey. Fuck off. It needs to be a settled question. We need to have a supermajority in this country, 66%, saying we want to rejoin the EU, and Nigel Farage can fuck off. Because Nigel Farage is not a part of our political spectrum, scheme, environment, whatever the word is. Political discourse. He's not there. He's not there as a threat. He needs to be neutralised. He needs to be neutralised. You know, the Office of Budget Responsibility estimates that Brexit will reduce long-term UK productivity by 4% relative to remaining in the EU. Its modelling assumes UK trade intensity will eventually be 15% lower. We're talking billions and billions and billions of pounds here. Not even mentioning the assets, the €1 trillion worth of assets that were moved out of London banks and moved to Dublin and moved to Frankfurt and moved to Amsterdam and Paris. $1 trillion. People say, oh, you know, it's just sitting there. It's not doing anything. We lost the Euro clearinghouse. That all that has knock-on effects on our economy, and we have lost trillions because of it, as a result of what Farage has done. I'll say it again: Nigel Farage has done more damage to this country than Adolf Hitler. And you know, give Hitler his due. Not only was he the person who killed Hitler, he also brought Great Britain together like never before, and he smashed the fascists in this country. You didn't see the BUF running around causing trouble, did you? No. Now, what happened to Oswald Mosley after the war? Oh, he had a kid, didn't he? Was he involved in anything like international sort of shenanigans? Oh, yeah, he was in charge of Max Mosley, wasn't it? He was in charge of the Formula One, and he used to get prostitutes to dress up as Nazis and whip him. Because that's a normal thing to do for the aristocracy, I suppose. And then his grandson is now in control of guess which evil fucking company his son is in charge of. Is it Busy Bear's nurseries? No, it's not. Is it Oxfam? Is it Amnesty? Is it Greenpeace? Is it Watergate? No, those really evil companies. He's in charge of Palantir in the UK. Oswald Mosley's grandson. Because, God, there's no nepotism like entrenched nepotism dating back to, I don't know, 1066, Battle of Hastings. But yes, Nigel Farage now faces some of the harshest political questions that he's ever been faced with. These are not new. He's been doing this shit for years and getting away with it because he had the political establishment on side. And suddenly the political establishment is like, ooh. And now he is suddenly railing against the establishment that he is very, very, very much a part of, just because they don't really want anything to do with him anymore. And Andy Burnham becomes Prime Minister tomorrow, and this is a real opportunity to reduce Farage's appeal. I mean, it does depend on the material results in housing, wages, public services, regional investment, easing the cost of living. But we also need to see them close political financial loopholes, stricter voter donor verification. You know, we're all up for voter verification? Are we going to need ID when you're voting? You need to show who you are. You need verification. But they're donors, aren't they? They can give as much as they like, and they can just remain shadowy and in the background, and they can channel things through off-sea shell companies, and we can put them through middlemen, and then that's the name that goes on the thing. We can put it through the Isle of Wight and the Isle of Man and the Isle of Dogs and whatever it is. We'll find the Cayman Islands or the Turks and Caicos Islands or the Mango Islands. It doesn't matter. Whichever island it is, you can put it through there. Bermuda. Put it into the Bermuda Triangle and then put it back out again. And it's okay. It's been cleaned. It's okay. It's laundered. It's okay. You can put that into politics. No, got to stop that. Got to stop that. This is a huge opportunity for Andy Burnham to do this. But Andy Burnham needs people to feel better off already. And you can see Nigel Farage absolutely panicking. He is panicking. He is losing control. You saw when he resigned the week before last, when he resigned, he was so furious. He was absolutely spitting feathers. How dare that fucking weird or whatever. Like this, right? And the money has become the story. Farage can normally redirect interviews towards immigration or Brexit or attacks on the establishment, but now he's being forced to answer specific questions about the $5 million gift, about his staff, security, accommodation, transport, etc. Is reportedly supplied by George Cottrell. And he's got no answer for it because he is a grifter. He's taken this money because they said to him, we want you to go back into politics. Nigel, you're quite good at it, and we want you to do things that will benefit us financially while fucking things for the rest of the people in the UK. From October, there's going to be intense scrutiny on the bank accounts of poor people under the Fear Act. Why not scrutinise the bank accounts of the rich, as Peter paints a lot? Yeah, absolutely. Couldn't agree more. All rich people do is they just don't want to pay any tax. That's the whole thing, isn't it? Listen, I'm going to set the super chat goal again. And I know it's a bit mad because we're going to be wrapping up in a minute, so I don't want to be asking for too much. But if we get any super chats in between now and the end of the show, I will launch the confetti cannon for each one. 100% not playing Saka, a big mistake by Tuchel. Yes, I agree. I've forgotten Rashford was even there until last night, Pagan. Yeah, he didn't. Rashford didn't play the other day, did he? The Tate Brothers stuff has got me so much spring in my step all morning. CPS are after me too, but it's good to see them doing something properly, says Hilgara. Yeah, I'm made up that they've been arrested in America, is it? They've been arrested in America, and there's new charges that have been brought against them in the UK. They've got 59 charges. 59 charges. They've been arrested in the US. So the Crown Prosecution Service has charged with 7 further counts of rape, as well as charges relating to sex trafficking and indecent images of a child. Yes, these people are paedophiles as well. These people who, these an entire generation of children have grown up thinking that this is masculinity when it is not. When it is not. Do you know what real masculinity is? Real masculinity is doing the right thing. Doing the right thing. Being nice. Having friends. You know? Not being scared to be vulnerable. Not being scared to talk about problems. Treating people with respect and dignity. You know, we used to call it a code of chivalry. It used to be a big thing with the knights. You know, I know it was romanticized years later by the Victorians, this, you know, the conducts of the gentlemanly knights. But that was basically it. The Victorians were very strong on table manners and just having manners in general. And obviously we'd have a comedy of manners, like the importance of being earnest. And earnest was a word at the time that meant gay, which is hilarious. It gives you an extra layer on that particular play by Oscar Wilde. But yeah, they were really big on it. But then manners became a bad thing. In the 1970s, people didn't have much in the way of manners. We had the punk revolution, but also we had racist old comedians like Bernard Manning going out on the stage and saying the most horrifically racist, horrible things. There was no Love Thy Neighbour. There was a TV show called Love Thy Neighbour, and it was really fucking racist. So, and then it went on to the 1990s. In the 1990s, we decided, hang on, why don't we start being nice to each other for a change? And the right wing fucking hated this. They hated the idea of decorum, of manners, of being polite, and they called it political correctness. And then when political correctness ran out of vogue or something as a derogatory term, they changed it into woke, which is, I know that's not the original meaning of the word woke, which originated from African American culture, but I'm talking about what it's been used for now. Everything I don't like is woke, and everything that Trump doesn't like, everything that Boris Johnson doesn't like, everything that Liz Truss doesn't like, and everything that Nigel Farage doesn't like is decency and decorum and doing the right thing. I think that those things set out people being decent people, whether they're a man or a woman or neither. Great, just, yeah. This is the world in which we live. Not the world that we inherited, by the way. It just makes it more galling, even more galling, because our parents' generation, and not all boomers, but our parents' generation are leaving this astral plane at the moment, one by one, and they're leaving us, the rest of us, in a worse position politically, socially, financially, economically, than we were when we were born, when they were born. We are the first generation to be worse off than our parents. And we are. And they get a triple lock. Perineum, thank you very much. Can't resist a bit of Sunday confetti. Oh, the bribery work. I'm glad to hear the bribery worked. And because of you can't resist, I'm going to have to grab my little friend from the morning brew set up there and bring him over here. And this is for Perineum. Perineum, I give you 3, 2, 1. Count bin. Oh no, hang on. That wasn't count bin face. I was going to use count bin face. I gave you Boba Fetti instead. I can't read. It's too early in the morning to read. What is wrong with me this morning? I don't know. Let me do that again. Perineum. Here we go. This is for you. This is for Perineum. 3, 2, 1. Bin face! Yes, bin face, it worked. It worked! Woo! I'm Count Bin Face. Hello, Count Bin Face. Bringing down the price of your 99ers to 99p. Because he's such a nice man. Nice man, Bin Face. If anyone else will drop a super chat in before the end, we will Bin Face again. Or we can Boba Fetti again. You tell me what you want. Anyway, sorry. Money has become the story. Right, this is why this is not a medical diagnosis, but it seems to me, people are saying allegedly that Nigel Farage is losing his fucking mind. Money's become the story. His explanations for the 5 million have not remained consistent. He needs it for security. He needs it as a personal gift, recognition of his Brexit work, a lottery win. Different explanations make it harder to establish a single credible account of why the money was paid to him. Well, I've got a credible reason for a crypto billionaire giving him money, and then he went and had a meeting later that same year with the governor of the Bank of England to talk about cryptocurrency. Did they talk about the footy? I don't know. But if someone from FIFA had given him £5 million and he'd gone to speak to the governor of the Bank of England about the footy, I'd be like, maybe there's something in that. The timing of the payment looks absolutely terrible. Farage reportedly told senior reform figures in March 2024 that it would require, £1 million a year. He said that, and then less than a month later, he gets 5 million. Daz, thank you very much, Daz. Love Conservatives, hate the Tories. You get confetti. Confetti. Sorry, I'm feeling a bit strange this morning, but thank you very much for that. Anyone else wants to drop in some chat money? We will confetti. We will confetti you to confettiness. We will give you the satisfaction that only this show can provide with our confetti cannon. The timing of the payment looks terrible. The resigning of the MP as an MP does not end the Sanders case if he gets re-elected. And the Clacton stunt has backfired massively. He's not produced the confrontation he expected. He thought it would be the people versus the establishment. Instead, it's Farage versus a fucking bin. Nigel Farage, who is the establishment, versus a bin. His most visible opponent, Count Bin Face, turning the exercise into ridicule rather than vindication. And Farage has admitted himself that he had not anticipated that response. And there was some talk on Friday about whether Farage would actually put his name down, because he might just chicken out and go, ooh. The stunt has disrupted his own party. We've had reform activists moved from Greater Manchester, where they were campaigning to take the mayoral seat there, the Metro mayoral seat, the party is spending time and resources protecting its leader from a crisis that was created by the leader of Refuck. The Cottrell connection cannot be dismissed as ancient history because Cottrell was Farage's age during the Farage's aide. He's not his age. He's about half his age actually, and that's why we refer to him as a sugar spawn. So you have your sugar daddy, and someone who's older than you gives you money for sexual favors. Well, Cottrell seems to be sugar spawn. He runs around wiping Farage's ass. This is a guy who's been to jail for drug dealing, essentially laundering money for drug dealers. That's what he thought he was doing, and he took a plea bargain. That's something that exists in America. It doesn't exist over here because it's a fucking ridiculous situation where you go, oh, we're not going to do you for these crimes. Actually, we do something similar in the UK, but not quite the same. But plea bargains isn't a massive thing in the UK as it is in America. There was an active police investigation around Refuck's funding network. Investigators are examining a £500,000 reform donation attributed to Cottrell's mum, and the right-wing press is no longer protecting him uniformly. I'm not going to say it's outright they're not protecting him, Farage, but the Times, the Sun, the Telegraph, and the Daily Mail have all carried increasingly critical coverage of Farage, and Farage's career depends heavily on sympathetic newspapers and broadcast attention. Hostility from those outlets threatens his ability to present every scandal in his own terms, which is what he likes to do. Don't forget, when it came out about this 5 million, he was there in the Telegraph saying, well, I needed it for my security. And he was talking about that time that definitely happens when someone put a firebomb in his house that he just didn't mention to the authorities when it happened, or didn't mention to the newspapers. There's a guy who likes being in the newspapers every day. I like seeing him as his own ugly goddamn trash can of a face on the front cover of a newspaper every single fucking day, and he decided not to mention it, just like he decided not to mention this incident when 50 people were in a pub and handed him out of a pub and were banging on his car so much that the car was a write-off, which he didn't claim on the insurance because it never happened. And none of those 50 people had a smartphone. Imagine that. Imagine 50 people turn up in a pub and they all forget to bring their phone with them. That's quite remarkable. Most people, they check their pockets every 5 seconds to make sure they got their phone on them. But they all went to the pub and they all forgot about their phones, and then they all forgot to tell anyone afterwards that I think that definitely happened. Yeah. He reportedly lost his temper with the editor of the Times, as I mentioned. He's openly describing the ordinary scrutiny, which is what he's facing, as persecution, a coordinated pile-on. He says he's been dehumanized, but that's impossible because he's not even fucking human. He says that he's never been angrier, which is not a good look for the guy who tries to sell himself as the man of the people who you want to go down the pub with. I don't want to go down the pub with an angry drunk. Thank you very much, Mr. Farage. I'd rather, eat my own head. He's attacked the standards process before it's reached a conclusion, which is always the sign of someone who's completely innocent. That's what innocent people do. They say, oh, well, I'm not going to, people looking into me, they're all bad. They're all bad people. I'm not the bad person. They're all the bad people. All the cops are bad. All the people in the court are bad. All the people in the Commons Committee, they're all bad. I'm good. I'm the good one. I'm actually the good one. And he said that the the standard system could not judge him fairly. Could not judge him fairly. I think they judged Boris Johnson pretty fairly. Gobshite. He preemptively discrediting the investigator allowed him to reject an adverse finding later, straight out the Trump playbook. But the man of the people act is becoming harder to sustain. The £5 million personal gift, the billionaire crypto backing, the expensive private security, wealthy finances, media earnings up the kazoo, the property holdings, the private jets, the big cigars in his gentlemen's clubs in London. That material directly contradicts the ordinary punter image on which his populist appeal depends. This man has never done the dishes. He's never had to clean a toilet. He's never had to take the bins out. He's never had to do those things. He's always had, all his life, he's had someone to do it. He's always had a cleaner. He's always employed someone for minimum wage or less than minimum wage, whatever he can get away with, to clean his house because he can't be asked doing it himself. He's never changed a nappy. He's never, done the normal things that normal people have to normally do in their life. His attempt to make he says that the property reporting endangers his family, and that the financial scrutiny is politically motivated. But, I mean, if you're given a house by someone, you can't just say, well, that's a private thing because it's a house. That's wrong. It was a gift. He was given a house. He was given 5 fucking houses by some guy who lives in Thailand. And the fact that he's facing scrutiny from several different directions simultaneously, it's not just the Parliamentary Standards Committee, it's also the police are looking into it, also the NCA, National Crime Agency, are looking into it as well. And no single denunciation of the establishment can dispose of all these different separate processes. And his standard tactic is now becoming predictable. It is now so visible as well to even people who vote for refuck. He denies the wrongdoing. He attacks the journalists. He questions the regulator. He blames a coordinated elite, even though he's very much part of the elite and always has been. He invokes threats to his family and demands that supporters treat personal accountability as an attack on themselves. That Trump line of they're not after me, they're after you. I'm just standing in their way. And just repeating this formula over and over again just makes it at least less effective each time. He can't be certain what else investigators possess, which is another reason why he is panicking at the moment, because financial investigations developed through banking records, messages, contacts, witness evidence. Farage knows what he received, but he knows also what the police, what the NCA, what the Parliamentary Standards Committee have not uncovered yet, what journalists have not uncovered yet. And it seems like this might be the tip of the iceberg. And the full contents of records held by donors, held by intermediaries, former employees, payment companies, regulators, police. Careful who you stand on the way up, Nigel, because you might meet them again on the way back down, and they might have kept the records. And for the first time, losing media support, parliamentary status, and political relevance for Nigel Farage are all plausible at once. He could survive this by-election, yet return to an active standards inquiry. He could win locally while continuing to lose control of Refuck's national narrative. And he could be cleared personally while the wider investigation exposes further damaging information for those who fund his political operation. And on top of that, we have Andy Burnham. Okay? We didn't burn him. Andy Burnham has come in on a platform of bringing us back together, bringing us all back together. And he will go out of his way to bring refuckers on board. And some of us are going to fucking hate that. I know. I've seen the messages on Facebook of people screaming and shouting. But I think it's got to be done. Don't demand your money back from the super chats from me saying this. I think it needs to be done. And let me just make this plea, okay? I want to go back. I was really moved, like almost to tears, by the words of the late now great Sam Neill this week, and I'll get it. I'll see if I can get it on the screen for you, because I think it's worth looking at. Just give me 1 second while I sort this shit out. I have shit to sort out. Shit to sort out. I do. I have shit to sort out. Okay, so I need to do that. Sorry, I just need to do a couple of things. If you've already seen this, maybe you could spend the next 90 seconds doing something more fun. But otherwise, I'm going to do this, and then I'm going to do this, and then I'm going to do this. Sorry, I'm doing something in the background here. Sorry. I really apologize for this. I'm just trying to get this looking right for you. Right, okay, now that looks right. Now what I need to do is find some Neill. Oh, it's all on Instagram and Facebook. Can you just have a... Ooh. Okay. Okay, this is okay. All right, so... oh, let me just... Oh, yeah, that's cool. Okay, so here you go. Here's Sam Neill. If you haven't already seen this, This is Sam Neill who died this week, and this is him talking about what I want. This is what I want. Okay, so we'll listen to it together. So if it might be a bit loud, but we should be okay. Bin face for the anti-garbage vote, ironically. Very good, JC. So here we go. Take it away, Sam.
Do I have a dream? I think I'd like a night where there's no dreams. I'd like a morning when I wake up and there's really nothing on the news. When everything just returns to dull. And there's nothing to report. And there's no pestilence. And there's no war, and there's no aggression, and people are just leaving it alone and getting on with each other. Wouldn't that be nice? The surf is 3 foot high today. Chickens are laying in Central Otago, New Zealand. The football will be played as usual on Saturday. Someone might win, but probably everyone will just have a draw. There's nothing happening. That's my dream. Let's just be nice. Do I have...
Wow. Yes. So yeah, the late great Sam Neill there explaining what his dream is just to go to some point that we were in the past when politics wasn't everything, when we weren't fighting cat and dog with each other, where we weren't getting irrationally angry with other people because of their political beliefs. And even back in the 80s when I was growing up, it was never like this. It was never this bad. People had political disagreements, sure. I mean, we hated Thatcher in Liverpool, for instance, but people got on with it, you know? And now we're all just at each other's throats, say the wrong thing, do the wrong thing. Everyone's on edge. Everyone's like, you know, no one wants to apologize for anything. No one wants to, you know, try and build some bridges. It's all my way or the highway. And it's unsustainable. We're not supposed to live like this. We're not. And I do have a lot of hope that Andy Burnham, and, you know, this might not be how it all ends up, right? But I do have hope that Andy Burnham can bridge the gap and get people on side. When I heard over the last few weeks, you know, I don't like Labour, I'm not a Labour supporter, you know, blah, 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 but I quite like Andy Burnham. I'm like, oh, good. I'm glad I'm hearing that, because the vitriol towards Starmer, I feel, was off the charts, considering, you know, he fucked up. Don't get me wrong. I think he fucked up, you know, more than once. But on the whole, and this is, I think, how he's going to be remembered by history, wasn't that bad, all things considered. It's just that we are so trigger happy at the moment because we have had bad news rammed down our throat for the last 25 years. Ever since September the 11th, 2001, we have lurched from one crisis to the next. We had September the 11th, then we had the war in Afghanistan, then we had the war in Iraq, then we had the bombing in London, 7/7, then we had the 2007 financial collapse, then we had 2008, we were trying to get out of it. We had runs on banks in the UK. Then with 2010, the Tories got in, they brought in austerity. It's fucking awful. Killed thousands of people. Then they thought for the next laugh, they'll bring in Brexit. Kill thousands of people. Then they brought in COVID. Well, they didn't bring in COVID, but they didn't stop COVID coming into our island. They didn't shut down the airports. And then as soon as COVID was over, then Russia invaded Ukraine. Another fucking crazy shit going on. And then when that seemed to be settling down a little bit into a kind of stalemate standoff between these two powers, then October the 7th happened in Israel. And Gaza, the war in Gaza started. Another fucking crisis. Jesus Christ. And then the dust is barely settling. In fact, it's not settling in Gaza because the Israelis keep blowing shit up. But Trump is there. He gets re-elected, doesn't he? At the Brexit vote, we had Trump in America getting elected the first time, getting elected again. The stress, the cortisol, the constant state of anxiety. What's that stupid cunt going to do next? And then he starts bombing Iran. And they close the Strait of Hormuz. And then he gets a red card rescinded at the World Cup. Can't even keep politics out the World Cup, can we? And the fucking Argentinians pull out a fucking banner saying that the Falkland Islands are theirs. Like a bunch of twats. I just want that. I just want Sam Neill wants. A day when we just wake up and it's fine. We just go about our business. We're constantly freaking out about world events and about, what's going on and what dickhead's in charge doing something horrible. And I'm not going to pretend that everything's going to be, marvellous when Andy Burnham's in. It won't be. But he has a way about him that can bring people together. And if he can win in Makerfield, and I'll tell you this now, Starmer couldn't win in Makerfield. I couldn't win in Makerfield. You couldn't win in Makerfield. Wouldn't have a fucking chance. He could win in Makerfield as a Labour MP after they just suffered their worst local election defeat in the history of their party. They lost 1,500 councillors in May. And a month later, Andy Burnham wins in Makerfield. Remarkable. So if you're wondering why Nigel Farage is panicking so much, it is layer upon layer. Everything's coming out now. The papers have turned against him. And he is shit scared of Andy Burnham. Because Andy Burnham has something that Nigel Farage has. He has that ability to put people at ease and make them think that he's one of the lads and we'd like to go for a drink with him down the pub. And the more angry Nigel Farage gets, the more uptight he gets, the more furious he gets, and the more the mask starts to slip of the fury that is boils beneath the surface with Nigel Farage, because he is an evil man. He's a genuinely evil man. He's the closest thing this country's ever produced to the Antichrist from the Bible, and he finds it very difficult to keep a lid on it. It's like Homelander in The Boys. You can see him seething, and that makes him look less like a person that you'd want to have a drink with. And if all the policies aside, if Andy Burnham can just get that bit of it right, to get people together, to get people to put their differences aside, political differences, and all start working together on building a better Britain, then we could be on the way to what Sam Neill dreams of, and what I dream of as well. I will tell you, I've said this before, I didn't give a fuck about politics for years. It was just something that went on. I took in the same way with football, if there was an event on, if there was a general election or a World Cup, then I'll take a bit of an interest. But generally, week to week, I wasn't doing daily shows about what's going on in the world, in politics. I wasn't that arsed. I wasn't that interested. And I want to go back to that. I want to go back to talking about pop culture and about travel and about things that I care about. Having fun, having parties, having a good time, bringing people on, making friendships, finding new places to go and visit and exploring the planet. We spend most of our time arguing with each other when we should be finding out, making our lives better, sussing out how to do new stuff. Get your teeth into cooking or painting or sculpture or music. Learn to play the guitar or something. Just find stuff to do. Get out there. But we are impeded at every step by the billionaires who control so many aspects of our waking life in a way that they shouldn't. In a way that we see the likes of Nigel Farage and Donald Trump more than a lot of us see our own children. If they're grown up, especially. You don't necessarily see that much of your kids every fucking day. If you don't live with them, if they're grown up. Isn't that sad? Isn't that sad? You've got an entire generation of grandparents right now who might see their grandkids once every few months. And yet Nigel Farage, Donald Trump, on the telly every day doing something horrible. That's got to change. That's got to change. So yeah. R.I.P. Sam Neill. He seemed like a really top bloke. Talking of top blokes, Viper Scott dropped a super chat in about an hour ago before I went off on one about Sam Neill. So thanks very much for that. And it does allow me to give me great pleasure to give Diz Hair Fix and press the magic button to release the confetti. Yes, the magic confetti button. Thank you very much. Shin says that was beautiful. Clap, clap, claps all around for our dear friend, Sam Neill. You know, some people die and you think, oh, I wish I'd met him. I wish I just said hello once. You know, just had that connection. The problem is it's easier to make money by making people angry than making them happy, says Shinzed. Yeah. That's why money's the problem. We need to move away from the love of money and we need to push more to the love of connection. Because people can have all the money in the world and they're still not happy. Why are they not happy? They don't have the connections. Once you reach a certain level of wealth, you don't know who's your friend anymore. Even your childhood friends who you grew up with will change. They will. Because you suddenly got loads of money and loads of power and loads of influence. And say people don't change. I always make a joke about Hollywood selling this lie that people can change because people don't. But they do when they get money. The fastest way to make someone who's a lifelong Labour voter vote for the Conservatives is by having them win the lottery. Money changes people. And never for the better. If you're a good person before you got the money and you continue being a good person with the money, well done. But if you're a bad person and you get loads of money, you're not going to become a good person. If you're a good person, you get loads of money, you might become a bad person. I don't think that J.K. Rowling was a bad person in the 1990s when she was writing Harry Potter. I think she had the best of intentions. The money and the mold has twisted her brain into being just the most horrible human on the planet, who's currently encouraging places to sue Amnesty International, human rights group. So that's where we are right now. Cathal, thank you very much for the €5 super chat. After all, for more Farage bashing, check out the first 2 hours of James O'Brien last Monday, fueled by 2 weeks off energy. Yeah, because he had 2 weeks off and all this shit happened while he was away, as it always does tonight to James O'Brien. He really shouldn't go away on holiday because it all kicks off when he does. So thanks very much for that, and I'm gonna give you a Boba Fetty. So here you go, Cathal. This is for you, Boba Fetty. Boba Fetty. I'm Boba Fetty. Yay, Boba Fett. And we just had another super chat as well. I'm going to sign off in a moment, so that's really kind of you. Thank you very much, Liz Allen, for the $5 to pay off what someone else said. I want to call Fromage, Nigel Farage, Smeagol, Haw Haw, Fartang, Fatang, Ole, Biscuit Barrel. Ha ha, fatang, ole, biscuit battle. So we got some wonderful references there to to Lord of the Rings, Lord Haw Haw, and Monty Python, of course. Thank you very much to Liz for that. And for that, I'm going to give you bin face. You're going to get a bin face. There you go. Yay! Bin face. Bin face. That's quite fun. Bye. Okay, bin face. Thank you very much. There we go. Punninator, £5 super chat. Since Brexit, I got my dad arrested and completely cut him off. He is a classic Brexiteer abuse a-hole, but if we join, we need his source. Punninator, thank you very much for that. I'm going to really appreciate it. I'm going to wrap up in a few seconds' time. So thanks for that. Yeah, I love what you've written there, because you know, I'm sorry that you had to go through that. Obviously, that's fucking horrific for anyone to go through. But he's the classic Brexiteer abusive a-hole. But if we join, we need we need to get them on board. And we can do that through Andy Burnham. And Andy Burnham is one of us. And someone said, he's not one of us. Well, he's one of me. I'm a Scouser. He's a Scouser. He supports Everton, as I do. Do you know what I mean? Like, he's a guy who grew up in similar circumstances to me. Bright lad, studied politics, got into politics, which I didn't. So his life went in a different course. But he's done. I think he did really well as a Labour minister back in the day. I think he did really well as an MP in that area before the constituency boundaries changed. I think he was fantastic as Manchester mayor, and Manchester has changed massively over the last 8 years. And you might disagree with a few of the things that he's done in Manchester in order to achieve that, but it's worked, and that's it. Like, we don't have to. We don't have to do this shit. We don't have to do this politics bullshit and try and keep everyone happy all at once. It's very, very difficult, as Keir Starmer found, and that's why he, after I don't know, 10 o'clock tomorrow, whenever he makes his speech, after he's been to see the King, or before he sees the King, I don't know, one of the two. We'll cover that tomorrow on the show. But until that point, it was his big downfall. He tried to make a bunch of disparate groups happy all at the same time, and it's fucking impossible. It's fucking impossible. But then Andy Burnham, yesterday, we hear that he's going to bring in these new licenses for the oil fields in the North Sea, which pisses me off. But then I hear today that he's ditching digital ID, which I'm quite happy about. So, fucking politics, eh? But we can be pure. We can be pure. It's fine. We can say, well, I've got my morals and I've got my convictions, and I'm never going to sway on them. But because we don't have to try and keep loads of people happy at the same time. So the downfall of democracy, isn't it? You got to get the gammon on side. You got to get the gammon on side, because there's a lot of fucking gammon out there, isn't there? I'm not a Scouser, but my dad is. It took me a long time to accept your accent, Graham, but I'm glad I could get past it. Oh, thanks, Puddinator. I mean, I'm sorry that I'll try and sound more posh for you, so I don't bring back bad memories. But yeah, Terry Pratchett should be taught in school, says One Angry Pagan. Yeah, I always felt that. When I never understood why Lord of the Rings, when I was, I think it might be now, but Lord of the Rings wasn't on the syllabus. And I thought that was fucking crazy. You know, the stuff in Lord of the Rings, as you for to anyone in secondary school, it's fucking brilliant, because it's not just about the story, which is one thing, or the language that he uses, which is great, but that's one thing. It's the geography, it's the languages, it's the mythology that is being used, this old Norse pagan mythology that he helped bring back to life after it had all been, I don't know, put on a big bonfire and burnt by the early Christians. But yes, so yeah, I'd never been understood why Lord of the Rings wasn't on the syllabus. It's fucking fantastic, absolutely fantastic tour de force. But yeah, Terry Pratchett as well, Douglas Adams. But it was all D.H. Lawrence. D.H. Lawrence, fuck off, D.H. Lawrence. Fucking shite. It's boring. Fuck off, D.H. Lawrence. It was all worthy shit, wasn't it? It's never fun. I always wished Tolkien was on the curriculum, wasn't when I was in school 16 years ago. Yeah. And it's not just the language and the geography and the world that he created and all the characters and everything. But also there's a lot in there about friendship. There's a lot in there about doing the right thing. And Gandalf's power doesn't come from the fact he's got a fucking laser sword and he goes around chopping people's arms off. His power comes from the fact that he brings people together from different races, from different parts of Middle Earth. He brings them together on a quest, and that's his magic. I know we can fight a Balrog as well, but that's by the by. Gandalf's real magic, compared with Radagast or compared with Saruman or any of the Blue Wizards or whatever they got up to, it is this idea that he was great at bringing the people of Middle Earth together in a kind of Wizard of Oz kind of way. It was like, you've always had courage, Mr. Lion. You've always had a heart, Mr. Tin Man. You've always had a brain, Mr. Scarecrow. And making people realize that they can become better versions of themselves and do the right thing. Give people these impossible decisions that they have to make and allowing them to do the right thing and telling a story in a realistic way as well. Not everyone, Boromir does end up fucking things up, and he dies as a result of fucking things up, and he ends up breaking the Fellowship. But it's not massively his fault. You meet Denethor, his father, who's a fucking nutbag, and also you've got the pull of the ring as well. But the way he weaves these stories together, I think it's not just interesting to study as a text. I think it's really good life lessons. And if we want to have a look at why people who have all the money in the world aren't happy, I will always say it's because they don't have a community. They don't have friends. They don't have mates. They have people each day. They meet up and have a chat. Shoot the breeze. Shoot the breeze. Why are people so miserable in America more than anywhere else? Because they don't have third spaces. Think about this for a moment. There's no cafe culture in America. There's nowhere in America where you can sit out somewhere nice, somewhere green, there's a tree, there's some grass, and have a coffee. There isn't anywhere. You can sit out maybe on the street as cars go past on a motorway in LA. You can sit out, on the little tiny sidewalk that they have on a chair, on a little fucking chair, and then they'll tell you to get out the cafe as soon as you finished your coffee. Right? Can't just sit there all day watching the world go by or watching, vastly polluting things go by. They don't have pubs over in America. They really don't have a pub culture. They have a bar, and bars are seedy places that you don't take the kids. You don't go as a family. You go there to be bitter and alone and drink yourself to death. That's what they're there for. They don't have that same drinking culture that we have in the UK. They don't have the cafe culture they have in France. They don't have the joy of bringing people, communities together for food like they have in Italy or in Spain. They don't have that. Or in Greece, they don't have that. The families are all split. And this is why there are pockets in America that still remember their heritage and still make a big thing about it. You have the Puerto Rican community in New York, places like that, where the community does still exist as a community, which is doing quite well. But everyone else, the vast majority of Americans, are unhappy because they don't have anyone. They don't have anyone to just say, all right, mate, hiya. Someone can flash them a smile and say hello. They don't have it. And that's why it's such a bitter country. When do they get together? When do Americans ever get together to go to a football match, an American football match, or a basketball match, or a baseball match? What are they doing there? They're barracking for their team. They're shouting at the other team, saying, you're a bunch of cunts. It's not like you're sitting around the table going, So yeah, the failure of America is the failure of socialism, in that the social bit of socialism in that comes from society. Because society in America is completely broken down. And it's Americans are just not a happy bunch, and I don't want to emulate them. And I think that Nigel Farage, being funded by the same people as Trump, same billionaires, same gobshites, want to do the same thing in this country. And we've let them up to this point, and we have to stop. And tomorrow I'm going to try my best, and I'll probably fail, because I'm a squishy human being and I'm not fucking infallible. But I'm going to try to be a bit more forgiving of the Brexiters. Maybe not even call them Brexiters anymore, just the people who voted for Brexit, who might still want fucking Brexit to happen. But we do need to get them on side. Unfortunately, as Puninator said, we need to get them on side. Because that's democracy, my friends. That's democracy. And although we are right, we need to convince people. And the way to do that isn't by screaming in their faces that they're the worst cunts that ever existed. Because people are people. And they're not going to go, oh, that's a good point. Never considered it that way. They're going to tell you to fuck off. I would. So I'm going to head off now. I had a non-relative buddy over to watch a match for the first time in about 4 years last night. I was so happy I clapped England's last game. Simple things. Yeah, it was such a fun match last night. That was the spirit of football. It didn't matter. That you know what it reminded? Like I was thinking of what Sam Neill said when I was watching that football match. Do you know what I mean? Because it didn't matter. It didn't matter who won. It was just for the bronze fucking playoff. They changed. It used to be the third place playoff, but now it's called the Bronze Cup or something. I had to put the bronze trophy. Yeah. I read Homer's Odyssey in high school. Now I used to watch the new film. I really want to watch the new film of the Odyssey, although there's very, very few showings in IMAX, and of the IMAX showings that there are, I don't think there's any with subtitles. Add an S in front of Nigel, and you get Nigel. That's a Maggie Pie. Thank you. You may have some Beppy. And yes, I'm afraid I'm going to have to get going now. I've got 39 minutes overtime and got loads of stuff to do today. So I'm going to be relocating this week to another location, somewhere, secret location, somewhere in the United Kingdom. Which I'll let you know once I get there. But if you would like to get in touch, give us a shout or anything, tomorrow morning I'll be back on at 9 o'clock. I'll be doing a show from here tomorrow before I set off on my travels. Yeah, until I actually fuck off, I'd like you to come along tomorrow morning, 9 o'clock, bright and early. But before then, 8 o'clock tonight. Now, I'm going to say 8 o'clock. So do us a favour. Do us a massive favour. Obviously, like the channel, like this video, right? Please give us a like. You've been really kind this morning. So it's just one thing if you can. But hit the bell notification icon because I intend to go ahead with the show at 8 o'clock tonight. But the final of Spain against its failed former colony. I've forgotten his name. Bolivia or something. No, Chile. No, Uruguay. I think they're playing Uruguay or West Uruguay, is it? Yeah, they're playing West Uruguay. Anyway, whatever that country's called. They're playing them at 8 o'clock tonight. So I don't know how that's going to work out. And it depends on what we're doing here and if we're having a barbecue or something outside. Because, well, not a barbecue. I'm going to make paella. Because I want the Spanish team to win. So I'm making paella, and that's going to will the Spanish team to absolutely monster the Argentinians and win the World Cup for Spain. And that'll be wonderful. We can all have a fiesta. So I'm going to try to do the show at 8 o'clock tonight. But depending on what happens with the footy, depending on what happens with me, I've got to get packed to leave tomorrow. It might be later. So if you've hit the bell notification icon, you'll get a little buzz in your pocket, and I'll try and set things up before 8 o'clock so you know what time it starts. But we'll be doing the Sunday night social, me and Mike Dix and friends, hopefully. And if you join us for that, we'll be taking into account all the stuff that's happened over the last year and last week, last year, last 7 years, last 57 years, last 197 years. We'll also be talking about this is the end of the Starmer Premiership as he's buggering off tomorrow to go on, I don't know, off to do some other stuff, and we'll be sort of giving him a little bit of a review. Okay, so join us for that. So if you're a Starmer hater, you can join us for that and slag off Starmer. If you're a Starmer lover, you can join us and tell us how great he is. But we'll be giving him a score out of 10. Possibly. I don't know. We will see. In the rugby, the Argentine was the replica of the Argentine was a replica of the 86 Hand of God kit. What? Well, we battered them in the rugby, so fuck them. Yeah, we battered Argentina in the rugby, by the way, yesterday. So there you go. Okay, thank you very much for watching. Thanks for being so generous this morning with the super chats. Really appreciate that. Keep the channel alive. Keep us going. And until either 8 o'clock or maybe 9 o'clock or maybe 10 o'clock tonight, might just do a short one at 10 o'clock, I'll say thank you so much for watching. And until next time, hello, good evening, welcome, and goodbye.